welcome to Real Estate Divas. I'm Jer'leigh Thompson, and this is my co-host,
Kristin Gerst.
and we are here with Steve Csobaji from Quest, and so excited to have Steve here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's been a long time that we've been planning this, and I'm excited to be here.
It has been a long time. For those of y'all that don't know the backstory, we did it once, and then now we're doing it again.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Luckily, y'all didn't have to suffer through them. So, but glad to have you back. Thanks for coming.
And you are with Quest Trust.
That's right.
And just for everybody else, it's a custodian for IRAs.
Right.
How hard is it to get that trust put into like the name of the company? And by the way, I was with Quest before it was Quest Trust.
Yeah. So yes, originally we were just called Quest IRA. It was actually the state of Texas that compelled us to become a trust company. So that is why we are now called Quest Trust Company. It's not an unusual arrangement. A lot of custodians throughout the country are actually trust companies. But that's a misconception because a lot of people call and ask, hey, can you help me set up my trust? And unfortunately, that's one thing we don't do.
But it is hard. And you do have to have, there's a lot of regulations going into it,
Yes.
which makes a trust, if you're going to have somebody, taking care of your IRA,
in charge of your money
Right.
and hold it. Yeah.
having that custodian be a trust is,
It's a higher standard that we're held to, which is a good thing for that purpose. So, and Texas, as it turns out, actually is probably one of the tougher states in the country. So it is an overall higher standard that we are held to, which is good. It's kind of always inconvenient for us from time to time, but it's good for the clients.
I hear
And
that.
it gives you the bragging right.
Exactly.
Nice.
How long has Quest Trust been around?
21 years now. Yeah. Last year was year 20 since our original founder, Quincy Long, founded the company, and as it was before, as Quest IRA ultimately. And Quincy is still actively involved. And Quincy, just for everyone's information, literally wrote the book on self-directed IRAs.
Well,
You can find it on Amazon.
one of the things that I know you've mentioned before, and it was news to me the first time I heard it from you, is that these products that y'all offer, the IRAs and everything, they were literally developed for real estate investing.
The self-directed IRA, yes. IRAs are nothing new. And
Yep.
IRA, just for everybody, it's individual retirement arrangement. Everybody thinks it's individual retirement account, but it's actually individual retirement arrangement is what it stands for. It's a type of retirement vehicle that's been around for quite some time, since the 70s. It's generally been used in more traditional types of securities like mutual funds. But the self-directed IRA differs in the fact that it does let you use what are commonly thought of as alternative assets, real estate being the most common. But we also do things in the way of private lending, multifamily syndications, oil and gas, mineral rights, private company stock. Any of these things are the kinds of things you can do through Quest Trust Company.
And crypto now.
Crypto is another one. There's some interesting evolutions going on in crypto right now. We're starting to see investment funds that are using them in a broader way. It's a little more passive, almost like multifamily. So yeah, there are a lot of cool things you can do right now.
Well, and another thing that I love about Quest that kind of separates y'all, besides just trust, separates y'all from the pack is all of the educational stuff that y'all do for not only your clients, but people that are thinking about putting money into an IRA or the different products that y'all offer.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that actually makes Quest Trust Company different than other custodians is the emphasis that we have on client education and also networking opportunities, because we get a lot of people who come in and they have their first deal and then it's concluded and they don't necessarily know what to do afterwards. So we like getting as much information from as many different sources out there. Both of you have been included as part of that, to help our clients stay abreast of what's out there. And again, find that next opportunity.
Well, I know that, I don't know how many that you and I have been to, or that we got to sit on the panel of the last one and met some fantastic ladies. It was an all women's panel, and everybody doing something slightly different, but it's so cool to meet all of the people that come to your office, all of the stuff that y'all put on. And it is very, very educational and very hands-on. I know that prior to showing up in y'all's office, I knew jack about about IRAs, about all that there were more than one kind of IRA. I mean, there is a ton of things that you can do with it.
So I have a question. How many accounts, how many different types of accounts are we allowed to have? Because there's a lot of them that serve different purposes. I have traditional IRA, I have Roth IRA. I'm going to be opening up a SEP IRA so that my companies can make contributions every year.
Yeah, there are, I'd say, probably about 7 different types of accounts that we offer. So as you said, there are the personal types, which are the traditional and the Roth. Traditional IRAs also consist of a lot of money that come from old retirement plans like 401ks. So it's commonly referred to as the rollover IRA as well. The Roth, great tool that's out there, especially if you have young kids and you want to get them on the right path. You can open up an IRA for children and start putting it in that Roth, and they can have tax-free money down the road. But then there's the SEP, as you mentioned.
What does the SEP stand for?
Simplified Employee Pension IRA. And it lets you put in, through your business, a significantly higher contribution for last year, which you can still fund because it's based on your business filing deadline. So if you had extensions, you could still set one up for last year. But
Interesting.
for last year, it was as much as $66,000. It's a lesser of number. So you need a CPA to tell you what it's going to be. But it's the lesser of $66,000 or 25% of your compensation. So that's a lot more than the $7,000.
And that's total compensation.
Total compensation.
So that's salary and bonus.
Correct.
That I would pay myself.
Yes, exactly. So again, pretty favorable terms of what you can do, but that's why you need the CPA to
$66,000.
figure out what that number is.
Right.
That's substantially more.
Yes. But then there's also, if you are a small business and you don't want to be kind of on the hook for putting in so much money because you have employees, there's something called a simple IRA, which lets you put in still twice as much as a personal IRA as well. And then there's a solo 401k plan, which is like having your own big 401k, large amount you can get in there per year, and you can self-direct it.
Large amount meaning?
$69,000 this year.
Nice.
In totality. That's personal contribution. You can create your own match. You can have profit sharing. And if you still haven't reached that number, there's a way you can stick in after-tax money, which is going to be like a Roth contribution, to get to that total number. So like the SEP, you don't necessarily know how much you can put in there on a year-to-year basis. The 401k, you know how much you can get in there every year.
So Jer'leigh, are you going to the Quest event?
Of course I'm going to the Quest event.
I love it every time it comes up. This is something no real estate investor should miss.
Absolutely.
I've heard there's people flying in from all over the country.
Well, I mean, they've got over 20,000 investors across the nation, and these people are not only coming to learn, but they're also bringing deals. So if you are not going to the Quest event, get your ticket now. They're 50% off.
That is correct. So
50% off.
You can do a regular admission for $225 right now with 50% off discount,
or VIP.
$425.
And it's going to be at the Irving Convention Center on June 27th through 29th.
Yes, ma'am.
Be there. You'll see us there, and you're going to get so much knowledge. You're going to be on sensory overload.
I know on your portal, when I log in now, I see client login, and then I see the solo 401k. So there's
a big difference between them.
Right. And you've got to do a lot more overseeing yourself on the solo.
On the solo 401k, yes, but at Quest, we've actually even made that simpler. We now offer a solo 401k platform. We don't just sell a plan. Most places you go, all you're doing is buying a document, and then it's saying, here you go. Now go manage your plan. Go find the bank, go find a record keeper, all these things. Keep track of everything. Oh, and make your investment.
And all the cash and everything can be held at Quest with a solo 401k, or do you have to get another bank?
You would get a bank account specific for the plan. That's where your personal contributions go. But through the portal, you can pair it up. So you can link that bank account. You can keep track of everything that's going in there, the types of contributions they are. It will even help you with the tax filings that you need to do on an annual basis. It'll help prepare those documents.
Nice.
I like the stuff I don't have to worry about.
Right.
This is a
Drop
game
it,
changer.
play. Yeah.
It really is. And there are so many people I've talked to that are really excited
Yeah.
about the solo 401k because they want that freedom.
Right.
Because, I mean, I think they get like a checkbook or whatever.
You can have the checkbook with it. You don't even need it though, really, because
Right.
again, through the portal, you can direct all the investments. What's nice too about the solo 401k portal is that you can also do those traditional types of investments.
Right.
So it's not just self-directing. If you feel like that would just limit you, you can pair it with an account at Fidelity and also invest your 401k in mutual funds or individual stocks. That's something that we can't do in the self-directed IRA.
Right.
So it's giving you that added bonus of all those kinds of things that you can have in your 401k as well.
Nice.
So you can do it with, you can direct it towards whatever investments with Fidelity, but you can also, if you wanted to do the real estate side of things, you can do it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So then what would be the benefit of like between the self-directed,
The solo 401k.
the solo? So would you just go with the solo instead, or?
I guess it comes down to,
The individual.
yeah, the individual. Because again, you are taking on more responsibility with the solo 401k. You're the administrator. With us, we administer that SEP
self-
IRA.
yeah.
Yes, anything that's in the IRA realm.
Got it.
So I guess it does
How
come down to that.
hands-on do you want to be?
And,
Mhm.
you know, I've had
Gotcha.
people buy notes from me
Yep.
using one of these solo 401k type accounts. It's not something I don't think I would do it that way just for bookkeeping purposes, I
Yeah.
guess, to say, but I know people do it. And
Yeah.
I know people like it, especially for like earnest money,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
one
can
of
because
the
it just
easiest
makes
ways
it
to-
so much easier.
Absolutely. And to your point before, we've got a lot of education through our YouTube channel, which you can check out, where we've actually done a lot of presentations on the pros and cons of each too.
Gotcha.
And that's going to be a big theme coming up at Quest Expo.
Well, and one of the things that I'd like a lot of people, I know whenever I was first introduced to IRAs and that sort of thing, these different products, I kind of glazed over and I'm like, well, I don't have that much money to put in it. What is, for somebody that has very little to put in, where would they start? What would what would you recommend for someone if they only had a few $1,000s?
Well, one thing to just bear in mind, we can't offer tax, legal, or investment advice.
Yes.
Gotta say that part. But that doesn't mean that, to your point, that you can't have a self-directed IRA with small amounts of money. As Kristin just pointed out, sometimes all you need is just a small amount for earnest money on an option or on wholesaling. You can partner accounts. So you mentioned that you have a traditional, a Roth, and a SEP. You can bundle those together on a single deal. So you could write a note that's using money from all of those. I've seen notes where they've had 5 parties. I saw a renovation, a flip that was done with 7 parties. I
You've
can't
seen that.
imagine doing
I
that.
have.
But
I
you know,
have, and I the paperwork is a nightmare.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it could be. But the nice
Yeah.
thing is, if you have children and you're setting up accounts for them, they're naturally going to be smaller accounts, but you can bring them along for the ride on some pretty big deals. There are also other ways where you can basically combine all the IRAs into a single pool by creating a trust or an LLC that they all invest in. And then that entity does all of the work. So there are a lot of tricks that are out there that you can take advantage of and use what might be considered relatively small amounts of money.
Well, and I mean, I've had a note that I took on 16 or 17 different parts, but I had to do assignments and launches to like all 16
I
different
remember you
pieces.
mentioning that. I was like, wow.
What are you doing? I know. I'm like, and
that
not to mention the
seems like a lot.
contract, not to mention an amortization table to go with each. And so the paperwork was a nightmare. But I think my smallest participant was like $2,600.
Wow.
So, and it really does. It helps, these small guys, because what people don't realize, especially if you get in early, like when the first couple of years of a note, you might invest $2,600, but by the time that's done paying, it's actually, 3 to 4 times what they put in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, relatively soon, 5 to 10 years, they've got more than that amount.
That seems to be, you're the expert in that area of taking a little and getting a lot.
Getting
Yes.
a lot from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that was, who was it that did, didn't she write a book or write, you were in that book.
Oh, right. Nancy Wallace Labs.
Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Nancy
Nancy Labs.
gathered
I was
up
in
a
that
bunch of-
book.
yeah. Anyway.
Winning deals in heels.
Yeah, I was like, it's something heals, but yeah, that one. Get it? There's several women that have done spectacular things with investments. But Nancy did, she was good at gathering the smaller and self-directed and getting them invested in real estate.
This has been a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years ago, I bought a couple notes from Nancy, and one of them had like 4 different IRA holders that like owned this note that I bought. So yeah.
She's a good friend of Quest. That's for sure.
Yeah. That was she's the first person, Nancy's the first person that I remember hearing that about.
Yeah, where she
That
would come
strategy.
and she would crowdfund.
Yeah,
Crowdfund everything.
Well, before crowdfunding was even a word or a thing or a platform,
Right.
is she was going to y'all's events and gathering up that information and meeting people and getting them to fund those deals.
It is a great source because there is so much money out there in retirement plans. And that does kind of bring up an interesting point, is that Quest isn't just for our clients. We work with clients and non-clients alike. So people who are actually looking to fund deals like multifamily deals will come to our events and deal pitch or do some of the networking. So like I was saying before, we can't recommend the investments, but we do want to create an environment where people can find investments.
And people willing to private lend as well.
Correct. Yeah. You don't know who you're going to meet.
Exactly.
So, and getting back to the different types of accounts, the Roth is the one that I absolutely love just because, I've got another 10 years and change, however much it is, where I can start taking distributions tax free.
Yes.
From there. So I'm putting money in, and really my goal is to have really about, $10,000 a month cash flow from notes
Nice.
that I already have in there. I've got to have it in for how many years?
So the rule on the Roth is that it has to have been in there for what they call the 5-year holding period and then age 59 and a half. So the 5-year holding period, if you're making contributions, it actually starts the year, January 1st of the year you made your first contribution. So it's not like it's 5 years every time you put money in.
Right.
Now, there are some exceptions to that. For instance, if you're taking money from a traditional IRA and doing what's called a conversion, that is on its own 5-year clock. But for the contributions that you put in year after year after year, there's once you've started that clock, that's it.
So in my intent in the next few years is to no longer make contributions, to just have cash flow
Right.
building it. All of that cash flow could be removed
That is right. Yes.
at any point because it's part of that original note. And
Correct.
if it's been in there for 10 years.
You
it's-
easily meet the 5 years.
And so because any profits coming in from those investments that are generated from those investments, that's fair game.
That's fair game. Yep.
Okay. But only the contributions, any additional contributions,
Has to be 5 years.
has to wait 5 years, season 5 years to be able to take it
The
out.
contributions, again, those are trail back to the original time you made the first contribution.
Oh,
So technically you'll be taking out your contributions
Right.
because the way the IRS orders it is contributions come out first, conversions, and then the last is the earnings. It's not really going to be that way based on you're really taking your earnings, but in the eyes of the IRS,
right.
they're counting it as those contributions that you made.
Okay.
Work
All right. It's a little bit. It's a little bit, but it's important to know the difference. A traditional IRA, you have to start taking money out.
There is a point, yeah, when it's ultimately going to be 75 years old. But yes, at some point, you will have to start taking money out of those accounts. That's one key distinction with the Roth too, is that you never have to take money out. That is the one account that doesn't have that required distribution to it.
And it's tax free. The Roth is.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
But the traditional, anytime I decide to take,
Ultimately, you will pay taxes.
at what rate?
It all is going to come down to what rates are at that time because it all comes out as ordinary income. So at whatever point you're taking it out, if you have a salary still, W-2 or Schedule C, if you have Social Security, if you have rental income, all those things that combine to create adjusted gross income, it's going to be a part of that.
What if I'm taking distributions from my Roth at the same time?
That's the key, because that won't be counted.
Really?
Yes.
So I will be able to take distributions from my Roth. That's tax-free, not counted. So I'm showing still no income,
Right.
even if I'm deciding to take $10,000 a month
Right. Right.
from my Roth.
And that's
See, now
going to
that's
be,
exciting. And then I can pull money basically tax-free
yes.
from my traditional if I'm doing it smartly at the same time and not showing any income.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
He is not an accountant.
He is not an accountant or an attorney and gives no advice
No
whatsoever.
financial advice. However,
Okay,
that-
well, that's an exciting
Yeah.
loophole that I had not
Yeah.
thought, because I kind of was about ready to kind of abandon the traditional one. I'm like, why do I even build this up?
Right,
I'm like, if
right.
I've got to pay taxes on it
Yeah.
at the end, I'd rather build up the Roth and then the SEP.
You will be paying taxes on the SEP ultimately too. Right.
Right.
Because it's going to follow those same rules as the traditional ultimately. But where this becomes, I think, something that's really critical in terms of blending that tax-free income is that a lot of people don't realize Social Security is taxable if you make over a certain amount of money when
Yeah.
you retire. So if you get to disguise some of your income through that Roth,
Right.
you can avoid taxation there too. That's why it is really critical.
Wow. Okay.
absolutely.
No, I love that.
I hope they are paying attention to that, because that is really like a gold nugget right
Yeah.
there. And you can get more of those golden nuggets if you show up to Quest.
That's right. That's right. Some of our events. And again, I really do hope we can talk a little bit about Quest Expo, which is coming up this summer,
Absolutely.
because that's going to be where a lot of these things get discussed.
Right. So how many speakers are going to be at Quest? At the Expo in Irving in June?
That's right. It's going to be June 27th to the 29th in Irving, Texas this year. We've got, between general speakers and panel discussions, some of this is still being mapped out, but I'd say we have probably close to 30 speakers that are going to be
wow.
mixed in a variety of these capacities.
I'm going to be there.
Yep.
You are among them, and we are excited for that as usual. I know we've got you paired up with some good people. You'll shine again as a...
I like to be colorful.
Yes, yes, indeed. Indeed.
Well, we will definitely post that about the Quest Expo and make sure that all of you guys know exactly when that is, so that you can show up and get as much of this knowledge as possible.
Are there any discount tickets going on right now?
There are actually. We are now doing a promotion where the expo tickets are 50% off.
Excellent.
And it's not just the general admission, it's also the VIP, which has some extra benefits that go along with it, including a very nice dinner that's going to be held on Friday night. That's going to be a great event. But the VIP is basically now what the general admission was in
Wow.
terms of the cost.
In terms of the cost, what's the cost?
The cost is, I believe it's now $295 on the general admission and $495 on the VIP.
And 50% off.
Those are
Oh, those
50%
50% off. Okay.
Mm.
So 300 and 500.
right.
It's
Awesome.
excellent. And it's
Probably
a
lower
great,
than that, I think.
it's a great event.
It's going to be a great event. Yes.
I have loved every single one for going back years.
Yeah.
I mean, these are fantastic events, and it's a great place to meet people. It's a great place if
Well,
you've got
and
deals to sell.
Deals to sell, but I've also, just not to be sitting here like plug with Quest, but I have made some key partners in as far as investments and partners moving forward with some bigger stuff at Quest events. But we can't encourage y'all enough to go ahead and show up for the Quest events. And
We want to thank you so much for sharing with us today.
it has been a pleasure and can't wait to go to that Quest event.
Looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Tell everybody how to
Get a hold of you.
So you can reach me at 214-389-2800. That's the Dallas office number. Just ask for Steve. I'm the only Steve that works at Quest.
Don't
First
try to
time
say
in
his
my
last name.
career. Don't try to say the last name. Just say Steve from Dallas.
And I'm Jer'leigh Thompson with Texel Real Estate and Real Estate Reformation.
And I'm Kristin Gerst with Capricorn Mortgage Investments.
Thank you for joining us today.